The room went silent. Not the kind of silence that happens naturally. This was the kind of silence that feels heavy. The kind that makes your stomach drop before your mind even understands why. Hundreds of people stood beneath the bright afternoon sunlight pouring through the enormous glass walls of the luxury conference center. Executives, managers, employees, and their families filled the hall. Laughter had been echoing through the room only moments before. Then my wife's boss looked directly at me and asked a question that changed everything. His eyes moved slowly from my worn jacket to my scuffed shoes before settling on my face. The smile on his lips wasn't friendly. It was judgment. The moment felt endless. And within 30 minutes, his entire career would come crashing down in front of everyone. Before we begin, if you believe kindness, respect, and second chances still matter in today's world, please take a moment to like this video, comment below where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to A Journey of Hearts. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that inspire hearts around the world. My name is Everett Nolan. I was 38 years old and worked as a city maintenance technician. My job wasn't glamorous. Every day I repaired traffic signals, fixed damaged utility equipment, and handled problems most people never noticed until something stopped working. The pay wasn't extraordinary. The recognition was almost non-existent. But I loved the work. At the end of every day, I could point to something and know I had helped keep my city running. My wife, Selene, lived in a completely different world. She worked for one of the largest financial consulting firms in the state. She was brilliant, determined, hardworking. The kind of person who never gave up on a challenge. For years, I watched her climb the corporate ladder through dedication and sacrifice. Many nights she stayed awake preparing reports while I handled dinner and household chores. Many weekends disappeared into projects and deadlines. But we were a team. Her victories felt like my victories. And my support became part of her success. At least that was how things used to feel. About a year before the company event, a new executive arrived. His name was Victor Langston. He became regional operations director almost immediately. From the outside, people admired him. He dressed perfectly. Spoke confidently. Knew exactly how to impress senior leadership. But behind closed doors, things were different. Very different. Slowly, I began noticing changes in Selene. The woman who once came home excited about work started arriving exhausted. She smiled less. Laughed less. Some evenings she sat quietly at the kitchen table staring into space. Whenever I asked what was wrong, she would tell me everything was fine. But I knew my wife. Everything was not fine. The pressure at work kept growing. The demands became unreasonable. The criticism became constant. Yet she continued pushing forward because she loved her career and believed things would eventually improve. Then came the invitation. The company's annual Family Appreciation Day. Unlike the formal evening galas of previous years, this event was being held during the daytime at a beautiful conference center overlooking a lake. Employees were encouraged to bring spouses and children. There would be awards, speeches, food, and company presentations. Selene didn't want to attend. I could see it in her eyes. But declining wasn't really an option. So we went. The morning began beautifully. The sky was clear. Sunlight reflected across the water. Families walked around smiling. Children played on the lawn outside. For a while, everything felt normal. Then Victor arrived. The atmosphere changed instantly. Employees straightened their posture. Conversations became cautious. People suddenly seemed nervous. I noticed it immediately. Fear has a way of revealing itself without words. Victor moved through the crowd greeting executives. Laughing. Shaking hands. Acting like the most charming person in the world. Eventually, he approached us. Selene introduced me. I extended my hand politely. Victor glanced at it but never shook it. Instead, his eyes scanned me from head to toe. Then came the question. The question I would never forget. He asked who I was. Not because he didn't know. Not because he was curious. But because he wanted everyone nearby to hear it. He wanted to make a point. A few employees standing nearby shifted uncomfortably. Several looked away. The implication hung in the air. I wasn't dressed like an executive. I wasn't wealthy. I wasn't important in his eyes. Selene immediately explained that I was her husband. Victor smiled. But there was no kindness behind it. The expression felt cold. Dismissive. The kind of smile that quietly tells someone they don't belong. A few awkward laughs followed. My face grew warm. Not because I felt ashamed. Because I saw the pain in my wife's eyes. That hurt more than anything. She had worked tirelessly for years. Yet somehow, the person she loved most was being treated like an embarrassment. For the rest of the afternoon, I tried to ignore what had happened. But I couldn't stop noticing things. Employees became tense whenever Victor approached. People seemed afraid to speak freely around him. Several conversations ended abruptly the moment he entered the area. Something wasn't right. Hours later, everyone gathered inside the main conference hall for the awards presentation. Rows of tables filled the room. Large screens stood on either side of the stage. Sunlight streamed through enormous windows overlooking the lake. The company president stepped forward and welcomed everyone. Applause followed. Awards were presented. Employees were recognized. Families cheered. Everything appeared perfectly normal. Then something unexpected happened. The human resources director walked onto the stage. Her expression seemed unusually serious. The atmosphere shifted. She thanked everyone for attending before announcing an important company update. A large video presentation would be shown. The lights dimmed. The screens came alive. At first, the video displayed ordinary company footage. Team-building events. Community service projects. Office celebrations. Smiling employees. Then the screen suddenly flickered. Several staff members looked confused. The image changed. And everything changed with it. The footage now showed an office conference room. A security camera angle. A date stamp from months earlier. People in the audience exchanged puzzled looks. Then Victor appeared on screen. His public mask was gone. The charming executive everyone saw during company events had vanished. What remained shocked the entire room. The video showed him humiliating employees. Belittling their work. Mocking their ideas. Threatening their careers. Several people gasped. Others covered their mouths. The footage continued. One clip became another. Then another. And another. Every recording revealed behavior worse than the last. The room grew completely silent. Some employees looked as if they might cry. Others appeared angry. Many simply stared in disbelief. Then Selene appeared on the screen. My heart stopped. The footage showed her presenting a major proposal she had spent months developing. The quality of her work was obvious. The preparation was extraordinary. Yet Victor repeatedly interrupted her. Dismissed her contributions. And later, in another clip, presented the exact same ideas to senior executives as if they were his own. A wave of shock swept through the audience. I looked at Selene. Tears filled her eyes. Not because she wanted revenge. Because she finally saw proof that what she had experienced was real. For months she had questioned herself. Wondered if she was overreacting. Wondered if she simply wasn't good enough. Now the truth stood on giant screens for everyone to see. The problem had never been her. The problem had been him. The HR director then revealed the full story. For nearly 8 months, complaints had been arriving from employees across multiple departments. Reports described intimidation, harassment, manipulation, favoritism, retaliation. At first, there wasn't enough evidence. But eventually more people came forward. Security footage, emails, recorded meetings, witness statements. Together, they painted a picture that could no longer be ignored. A formal investigation had been conducted in secret. The company wanted undeniable proof before taking action. What nobody expected was that portions of the investigation footage would accidentally become part of the presentation shown during Family Appreciation Day. Yet somehow, that mistake became the most powerful moment of accountability the company had ever experienced. The room sat frozen. No one moved. No one spoke. Then came the announcement. Victor Langston had been terminated. Effective immediately. A collective breath seemed to leave the room. Months of fear vanished in a single moment. Some employees cried openly. Others hugged each other. Several people simply sat quietly, overwhelmed by relief. I looked around and realized something heartbreaking. This wasn't just about one bad manager. This was about dozens of good people who had suffered in silence because they believed nobody would listen. The HR director continued speaking. She apologized to employees. She promised organizational changes. She outlined new accountability systems. Then she said something unexpected. She thanked the families, the spouses, the partners, the people who supported employees through difficult times. According to the investigation, many workers had considered resigning. Many had nearly given up. But encouragement from loved ones helped them keep going until the truth finally emerged. At that moment, Selene reached for my hand. I held it tightly. Neither of us spoke. Words weren't necessary. The years of sacrifice. The late nights. The stress. The uncertainty. Everything existed inside that simple gesture. After the presentation ended, people remained in the hall for hours. Employees approached Selene. Some thanked her. Others shared stories they had never told anyone before. Several admitted her resilience inspired them to document their own experiences and speak up. For the first time in nearly a year, I saw confidence return to her face. The burden she had carried for so long was finally gone. The drive home felt different. The afternoon sunlight was beginning to soften into evening. The road stretched ahead of us. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then Selene finally opened up. She admitted how close she had come to quitting. How many nights she cried after I fell asleep. How often she felt like a failure. Listening to her broke my heart. Because strong people often suffer quietly. They carry impossible burdens while pretending everything is fine. I reminded her of something she had forgotten. Her worth was never determined by the opinion of someone who lacked character. And no title in the world could change that. Months passed. The company transformed. New leadership took over. Employee morale improved. Trust slowly returned. Most importantly, people felt safe again. Selene received a promotion she genuinely earned. Not because anyone felt sorry for her. Because her talent finally had room to shine. As for me, life remained simple. I continued repairing equipment. Continued serving my community. Continued living the same ordinary life. But I carried an extraordinary lesson from that day. Never underestimate the value of standing beside someone you love. You may not be able to fight their battles. You may not be able to remove their pain. But your presence can give them strength to keep going. And sometimes that changes everything. Before we reach the end of this story, I have one special request. Please comment, "Respect matters," if you believe every person deserves dignity regardless of their job title, income, appearance, or social status. Years later, when people ask about that unforgettable company event, I rarely talk about the investigation. I rarely mention the executive who lost everything. Instead, I remember a different moment. I remember looking at my wife after the truth was finally revealed. I remember seeing hope return to her eyes. I remember watching someone rediscover their confidence after nearly losing it. Because that's what this story is really about. Not revenge. Not humiliation. Not corporate politics. It's about resilience. It's about love. It's about the people who stay beside us when life becomes difficult. And if this story touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you of someone who stood beside you during your darkest moments, please like this video, share it with others, leave a comment, and subscribe to A Journey of Hearts. Because somewhere today, someone is silently fighting a battle nobody else can see. And they may need the reminder that they are stronger than they think, more valuable than they realize, and never truly alone. Sometimes the truth takes time to emerge. But when it does, it has a way of setting hearts free.